And we're going to actually, this is my last project I just created, and we're going to be taking a picture and improving it. So the first thing we'll do, okay, and I'm going to show you how I created this last one, just because I've got some nice wrinkles we can take care of and some bags under my eyes. Now, just you can pick one of yourself, or you could pick something that you found on the internet. Remember, you can, here's my original, okay? So I'm going to use this, and this was a shot taken at the beginning of the school year over at Southwest. I'm going to use the crop, and I'm just going to crop it in a little bit using my hands here. I'm going to keep it kind of a rectangle here. All right, if I like it, I'll hit the check mark down on the bottom. Okay, now I've got some tools. I could go to the adjust, and I could change the exposure, okay, if I didn't think it was a good picture. I could adjust the contrast. I could make it warmer, make it cooler. I could increase the saturation, decrease the saturation. I could increase the shadows, decrease the shadows. And I could adjust the highlights, okay, or decrease the highlights. Okay, this picture was taken by the professionals over there in the studio at Southwest, so I'm going to just say that the color and all that is good. So I'm going to hit my plus sign, my check mark. Next, I'm going to use something called the healing. And so in this project, we're going to be using the healing, the smooth, the defocus, and the vignette. Those are all down at the bottom. So let me take that healing. And this is spot healing, so you could do this if somebody's got some zits, okay, or in my case, I've got some wrinkles. So I can take my slider right here and I can adjust it with my finger on it, okay, the size. I can make it soft, I can make it hard. And in this case, watch what I'm going to do. It's going to create a little mask, okay. You could be doing this if somebody had some wrinkles. Now, if you don't like it, like this first one is a little light right there. So I can hit up on the top right is that return arrow, and I can go back and get that. Okay, so maybe I want to take care of some of the bags under my eyes, or what they call crow's feet. And if I don't like it, again, I can use that arrow. You can see right there, that's a little messy, so I'm going to go back. Try that again. Can't get too greedy and try to do too much. I can always use that arrow up on the top. I know I've got that one really dark patch, but I just have to be really careful. So maybe I'll decrease and I'll increase the size and see if that helps. Oh, no, that doesn't help. Okay, let me get a couple more spots here, just so you can kind of see. And again, it's sampling, so you've got to be careful there. Okay, let's say I've done that. So then I'm going to hit the arrow down at the bottom, the check mark. Okay, next I'm going to smooth. And that looks like the blur. Okay, with the smooth, I can increase the opacity just by holding my finger on the opacity button on the left. Okay, I can increase the hardness. In this case, we probably want a fairly soft brush. And I can increase the size of the brush. Okay, so let's smooth this out just a little bit. Now, it doesn't look very red on this mask because I have a really low opacity. So watch what happens if I really increase the opacity. Say it 100%. See how it's redder? Now, that might look really fake smooth. Okay, so I'm not going to want in this task 100%. Just going to smooth out my face just a little bit. Maybe get rid of some of those pores. Get rid of those 63-year-old wrinkles I've got. Maybe smooth along the crow's lines. Now, there also is a button down here that will smooth just the face. So if you hit this face, see it smoothing? And that might be too much. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I just did that to show you that. So maybe I'm looking about that much. I'll hit the check mark down on the bottom. Okay, so I've done the healing. I've done the smooth. Next, I'm going to do the defocus. Okay, the defocus is a really good tool to use if you want the background to be blurred. Let's say you shot a picture on your phone and you want you couldn't use the depth of field, so you can do something like this. And again, you can increase the opacity. See how that's blurring that out just a little bit? I just have to be careful there where that seam is because I got a pretty big blur. You see how I took a little bit of that? You could do it on your face as well, but really you're not going to want to too much. Okay, now let's see what would that look like if I used it on my face. Okay, so I could go, let me go down my nose a little bit. Okay, well, that's way too blurry. That won't work. If I did that, I would have to decrease something fierce. So I could, I don't like that. I liked my nose better before I did that. Hit a check mark. Okay. Now the last thing I'm going to use is a vignette. Okay, and that's kind of a dark edge around it. In the vignette, a lot of photographers use it. I used to use it a lot and still use it a lot when I shoot senior pictures. I'll take the edge and I'll just make it a little bit darker. And I do that in oftentimes in sorry, I'm talking and doing this at the same time. I'll do that in Photoshop. And when I do that, yeah, it's way too. In Photoshop, I'll do it in, I use a burn tool in Photoshop. And I can bring that in just a little bit too. I'm using my fingers to squeeze that in. Let's say I like that. I'm going to hit the check mark. Okay, so there's my finished picture. So let's save that. And in this case, we hit up on top. You've got all these options. You could save it into Photoshop, and then you could pick it up on your home, your computer if you had Photoshop there. You could save it to your camera roll. You could send it directly to Instagram. You could send it to Facebook. Okay, I'm going to save it to my camera roll. And we go back and we find it. That's my one from before. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for it to show up. So you don't see it there, that's okay. If I go up to camera, you'll see it up on my camera roll. Okay, so there we have it. We have the new and improved. Oops. So let's look at the past one. And I'll show you the one from before. Okay, so we have, this is the improved one. You can tell, I think I look just a little younger, around the eyes anyway. And if I look in here under my albums, okay, and I look under favorites, here's my original, and there's my new and improved. So my original, oops, there my eyes are, and there my eyes are. All right, there you have it. That is part of Adobe Fix.